Zenz estimates up to 1.8 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities have been sent to the camps since 2017.
That is a stunning number of people. 1.8 million people in camps.
Well, it's probably the largest internment of an ethnic or religious minority since the Holocaust.
Okay, starting from the World Uyghur Congress. This is the 9th of July 2019. They say, according to some evaluations, the transformation through education camps throughout Xinjiang, the region that Uyghurs prefer to call East Turkestan, detained 3 million Muslim Turkic people. So, noting that they're saying it's only the 3 million Muslim Turkic people. So they have to be Muslim and Turkic of origin to count for that 3 million in this estimate. And who are these authorities? Maybe they're in the links? Let's see. Well, that's the same. That's just bitter winter. Yeah, there's nothing here for those links. Uyghurs, yeah, it's just explanations. These are definitions. So instead, they must be citing the other expert in the article, Adrian Zenz. There's his picture, and they cite him throughout. So he says, the most scrupulous expert on this topic is German scholar Adrian Zenz, yes. Now, if we take his word, then what was he saying around this time? Was it 3 million? I mean, obvious answer is no. I know what he was saying around this time. So here's 2019, 11/24, extrapolating also from interviews around this time. Specifically, at this point, Adrian Zenz was claiming the 1.8 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities in as many as 1,300 to 1,400 internment camps. Okay, big problem there. First, we're saying million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities, so that'd be both Muslim, but if it's not Muslim Turkic, then the number is different, and the Uyghurs would be your Turkic Muslim group that they were referring to in the other article. Here it is. He's adjusting his numbers up, so actually, since the article that we first read from the World Uyghur Congress is older, it can relate more to his older claims, where Zenz had initially estimated that some 1.1 million people are or have been detained in the camps. Are or have been, a big difference because they can be released from camps, which he refers to as vocational training internment camps. But in March this year, revised his assessment to 1.5 million. Camp inmates have been accused of harboring strong religious views and politically incorrect ideas. And then he says, adding 177,000 to the current internment estimate of 1.6 million results in a combined figure of 1.777 million. So that's a oddly religious number, especially coming from a man who works at a theological institute. I wonder, what's the odds of coming up with 1.777 million? But we'll take this 1.8 million and not worry about any possible symbolism. Because of course, his process is flawless. So, he wouldn't have any reason to not go with a super exact number. He said in the report, which also cited members of the Hui Muslim minority as being among those detained. Okay, so if we subtract Hui Muslim, and he should give us a subtraction. In general, that's going to be Muslim, but not Turkic Muslim. Slightly different. See here? Turkic and Hui minority. They are different, so you can't count the Hui minority in that Turkic count, but you're getting Turkic plus Hui minority to get his 1.8 million estimate. And he says 15.4%. Yeah, so he is not coming up with their numbers quite simply. He's not getting that close. Really, he's that addition is the Hui minority for the most part. So Turkic Muslim, he still got 1.5 million or so, roughly half of the Turkic Muslim estimate that World Uyghur Congress is giving us by this date. Now, I did look, trying to be fair, and see if they didn't cite here, could they possibly be citing anyone else with a similar number, anyone else who could possibly get this 3 million number? And I did find one, actually, from another group that's been particularly involved in this, the CHRD. So for this one, if I scroll down, they have a different process, one that we should go over briefly. Pretty interesting. So the following table presents the data we have compiled based on interviews with 8 ethnic Uyghurs. Their families reside in 8 different villages in counties in the Kashgar prefecture. According to the interviewees, each village has a population between roughly 1,500 and 3,000, and the number of individuals taken into re-education detention camps from each village range from approximately 200 to 500 between mid-2017 to mid-2018. Wow. What a process. So, just talk to the Uyghurs. As we can see in their chart, we have 8 anonymous Uyghurs. We will not be hearing these audio clips if they did bother to record what was actually said during these interviews. They are staying anonymous. And the totals in the re-education camp, there are supposed to be a couple hundred that each of these Uyghurs are supposed to be just counting and keeping good track of. And as a result, we're getting different percentages, between 8 and 20% at the maximum, but an average of 12.8%. Then we get a final total between only the sample size of 8 of 2,224 in re-education camps, exclusively for the Kashgar prefecture, and we're not counting the rest of Xinjiang that we would be concerned with. But this 12.8% detained that they're taking as the average, they're then applying. Now, you'll notice, though, with the actual number of Uyghurs that we have in China, including the 11 million in Xinjiang, then that's not really going to give us the number that we're looking for, the 3 million, 12.8. It's going to be closer to the 1.5 million. So where could they possibly get 3 million? Well, let's read down. Yeah, so they say at least 30% of southern Xinjiang rural Uyghur residents forced into extrajudicial re-education programs. This is an addition. This is different from that older method that we just went over. Where did they get this new method? Where did they get the 30% now? Because this is not what the data just said that they were offering before. Let's read on. 30%. Where are you getting your 30%? Well, here's our 3.3 million. And again, they confirmed the 11.3 million. So 3.3 million, roughly 30% or 3.3 million may have been subjected to re-education, including 10% or 1.1 million in detention camps, around 20% or 2.2 million in day-evening forced brainwashing. Where's this new number coming from? If we read down finally, here we are. A high-level ex-UAR official in a state media interview put forth the assessment that 30% of the population of Xinjiang should undergo re-education, including Uyghur and other ethnic minorities in Xinjiang. As reported in 2015, Zhang Yun, the CCP secretary of the ex-UAR Justice Department, explained why an appropriate goal would be to re-educate 30% of Xinjiang's population. It was critical to get a grip on the origin of extremism and put an emphasis on re-educating the 30% who have been affected by extremist religious views. If this portion of the people are well transformed, there will be less pressure to strike down hard. The official used the example of a village to back up the percentages of Xinjiang population targeted for specific types of re-education or strike hard campaigns. As an example, in one village, 70% of Uyghur Muslims influenced by religion are swept along by religious extremists. About 30% of the masses are polluted by the... So these statements are approximations, examples, and more accurately, they're in a theoretical context as we're reading. This is a CCP secretary making these statements. If we could have the link, is it? Nope. Yeah, so this link is down. It's Chinese in origin, so there's a good chance that there was originally video or recording of this. But again, this group does not save this information internally. So that's a huge problem that I can't know entirely if this was on the American side or the Chinese side to say whether this statement was made or not, and if it is in the correct context or not. And even then, like I said, what they're offering sounds more conceptual, and in particular, this 30% is now not related to the original percentages that they were getting, and it's not related to the percentages that Adrian Zenz was offering, but those original percentages that we got from CHRD with the interviewees and what Zenz was saying before were older percentages that they were offering, whatever method they have. So maybe a CCP member makes a statement that doesn't match with the percentages that these groups had made before. They then just adjust their numbers up. They adjust their numbers up by about double, triple from the originals, double from the adjusted numbers when they get this new percentages offered to them. And let's just review. What are all of our three methods now? 1, we just call up officials, we don't record it, and we just ask them, how many people are you wrongfully detaining? And, is it completely wrongful detention? And of course, the Chinese government officials, being on Chinese government phones in China, answer. At least a couple of them are going to answer, and they're going to tell you quite truthfully what it is, while knowing that they're probably being recorded on these government phones. Method 2, we just ask the Uyghurs. We just ask 8 Uyghurs, no bias at all. And again, we don't record these interviews because at least the CHRD can tell us what to think about this. We don't have to listen to these stories and make up our mind for ourselves. That'd be silly. And then option 3, when those numbers don't match, we adjust it up to 3.3 million. And then I guess option 4, if you're the World Uyghur Congress, you don't cite any of these and you just go with the most round and nice number that you can find. Not quite 6 million, nothing quite as crazy as that, but 3 million is pretty big. And that would give you a big percentage and a far better claim for wrongful detention than 1 million could, given the total population and the history of the Uyghurs.